Good evening, everyone. This is Donna Detweiler, Senior Vice President with RX, welcoming you to the RX Healthy Body Call. We have a tremendously exciting presentation for you this evening, and I am delighted to welcome back our very special guest and expert, Dr. Ray Strand, MD, RX Chief Medical Officer and the head of the RX Scientific Advisory Board. This evening, Dr. Strand will be announcing the launch of RX's latest cutting-edge product, Magnical D. And with nearly 80% of adults and 40% of children deficient in calcium in the US and China alone, the launch of Magnical D could not be more timely. However, with the safety and efficacy of calcium supplements being called into question, you will learn this evening why RX is ahead of major well-established brands in their formulas and effectiveness of their ingredients. So it is my great pleasure and honor to introduce you to Dr. Ray Strand, who has been involved in family private practice for over 40 years, and in the last 18 years he has focused his medical practice on nutritional and preventative medicine. He has written several books, including What Your Doctor Doesn't Know About Nutritional Medicine, Death by Prescription, and Healthy for Life. He is also a sought-after public speaker and has lectured throughout the United States, Canada, Australia, Europe, and Asia. Dr. Strand is invested in the long-term wellness of his patients and all those he advises. So without further ado, let me hand over the presentation to our very special guest, Dr. Ray Strand.
Well, thank you for that, Donna, and I really appreciate the opportunity and am humbled by the opportunity to introduce to the RX family the RX's newest product, Magnical D. And it's all about creating healthy bones. This is what it's all about. And what we know is that calcium is critical to our health. We know this. We know that calcium is critical for healthy bones, for a healthy heart and muscle and healthy immune function. But however, just like Donna mentioned, 80% of adults and 40% of our children are deficient in calcium. So most of us know we need to be supplementing calcium. In fact, physicians have been recommending calcium supplements to their patients for decades. But the problem has come in a study just released in June of 2012, and I'm showing it here, that the dietary calcium intake and calcium supplementation has been shown, especially when calcium is supplemented alone, to actually double your risk of having a heart attack. Well, this has put us into a tremendous situation where RX did not want to actually develop a product that was going to be a risk for our health. So we have been working on our calcium magnesium product with the scientists, formulators, Deanna Latz and myself, and all of the RX Scientific Advisory Board. And we've been working on this for over 18 months. Well, this study came out, and we had to go back to the drawing board and look at this. And what we found is that this study, released in June, showed that people who supplemented calcium, especially alone or not in a balanced formula, could potentially double their risk of having a heart attack, because some of the calcium was felt by these researchers to be depositing in their arteries instead of their bones. So this really took us back to really study the medical literature, and the outcome is Magnical D. So what we learned is magnesium is also very key for our health. The health benefits of magnesium is that it's essential for proper muscle function. It's important for normal rhythm of your heart. It actually allows your arteries to relax normally. It is also important for our healthy lung function, healthy immune function. But most importantly, it's important for the development of healthy bones. And of course, that's what we really began to understand. And what we also began to learn is that when you supplement calcium, you need to be supplementing magnesium in a balanced formula. So what they found, and the medical literature shows, that calcium and magnesium must be supplemented into 1-to-1 ratio. Because again, 80% of the population is deficient in magnesium. We know that with calcium, which leads actually to an increased risk of osteoporosis and heart attacks. So we need this magnesium to build new healthy bone, because magnesium actually activates vitamin D, which is to its most potent form, and helps utilize the calcium and the vitamin D to build this healthy bone. But what has been happening in the calcium and magnesium supplementation is that we find that calcium needs to be balanced with magnesium in a 1-to-1 ratio. Now there's a lot of calcium supplementation out there that is just calcium alone, but there's also a lot of calcium supplements that even if they have magnesium, it's 2 parts of calcium to 1 part of magnesium, and it's too much calcium. This is what the medical research is showing us. So a 1-to-1 ratio is critical. So here are the key things that you need to understand. Calcium should never be supplemented alone. We have been supplementing with too much calcium. In other words, there's a danger of even a 2-to-1 ratio of supplementing calcium, and you must balance out calcium with an equal amount of magnesium in your supplements in a 1-to-1 ratio. So then you have to understand that you want to have the highest absorbable calcium and magnesium in your calcium magnesium supplement. You see, a lot of companies are using poorly absorbed calcium and magnesium, and it can be just like taking calcium alone, so it has a potential health risk. You see, many of the calcium supplements contain what we call calcium carbonate, which is the cheapest form of calcium that we know, and it's the poorest absorbed because it's dependent on stomach acid for absorption. Well, the problem with that is as we age, we make less and less acid in our stomach. So when we need calcium the most as we get older, we're not able to absorb this calcium carbonate like we should. In fact, many studies show that you only absorb about 50% of the calcium carbonate. Well, another thing is you got to look at the type of magnesium in your supplement, because a lot of calcium magnesium supplements contain magnesium oxide, which is the poorest absorbed magnesium. In fact, some studies show that less than 10% of the magnesium from magnesium oxide is absorbed. So why is this important? So if you're taking a magnesium, even though on the bottle it looks like, gee, I'm getting plenty of magnesium to balance out my calcium, but if the magnesium is not being absorbed, it's much like taking your calcium alone, which we now know is dangerous. So it was important for RX to find the highest absorbable calciums and magnesium to put in their product. Well, the literature is very clear that the most absorbable calcium is calcium citrate and calcium malate. And these are the most absorbed in the marketplace today because they're not dependent on stomach acid. Now, the most absorbable magnesiums is magnesium amino acid chelate. The reason is the magnesium is actually attached. It's chelated to a protein, an amino acid. So you can easily absorb the protein and the magnesium comes along with it. But also, magnesium tarnate and magnesium glycinate are also very highly absorbed magnesiums. So this is critical that you not only take calcium magnesium in balance, but you're going to be absorbing them very, very equally, and that's very, very important. Now, one thing I've learned as a physician, I have been dealing in my practice for years with this epidemic of osteopenia and osteoporosis. Well, years ago, we would just supplement calcium, and that's all we would do. But now we're really understanding that vitamin D is critical for people who want to have healthy bones, because if you don't have adequate levels of vitamin D, you can't even absorb calcium. Now, the most potent and active form of vitamin D is vitamin D3. So now when I get a patient in my practice who I find through DEXA scans or bone density testing that they have thinning of the bone or maybe osteoporosis, I always check a vitamin D level because I want this up, because it doesn't matter how much calcium or magnesium I recommend. If they don't have adequate vitamin D levels, it doesn't do them any good. So what RX has done is we're not leaving anything to chance. We've actually put into Magnical D 2,000 international units of vitamin D3, that most potent form of vitamin D. Now, I'm going to be personally recommending that people on Magnical D add it to the RX Optimals, which also contains 2,000 international units of vitamin D3. So therefore, you are actually going to be getting 4,000 international units of vitamin D3. And for the overwhelming majority of the public, this is more than adequate amount of vitamin D. And we know that 90% of the population today is deficient in vitamin D. This is still well within the safety range of vitamin D. In fact, the studies show you don't even become concerned until you get well over 10,000 international units of vitamin D daily in your supplements. So this is a very healthy dose. Now, there are many companies that promote vitamin D, but they make you actually purchase the vitamin D by itself. So you have to buy another bottle. Well, RX, and this is the principle that they use, they put it together in your Magnical D so it's there. Now, here is the real critical aspect of our research. What we found is there's a very, very important nutrient called vitamin K2. It is literally the traffic cop in the body. Now, vitamin K2 is key in making sure that your calcium supplement is absorbed and deposited in your bones and not in your arteries. This is what is key in making your calcium supplements safer. Now, when you add the magnesium to the calcium, you add vitamin D, having vitamin K2 is critical. You see, vitamin K1 does not accomplish this goal. And most calcium magnesium products out there have vitamin K1 there, but they do not have vitamin K2. So how does vitamin K2 actually work? Well, see, vitamin K2 activates osteocalcin in your bones, which is what is needed to grab and hold on to the calcium to help build stronger bones. In fact, there are studies that show just vitamin K2 alone decreases fractures by over 80%. Now, at the same time, vitamin K2 locks out calcium in your arteries by stimulating regulating proteins in your arteries, which literally blocks the absorption of calcium into the walls of your arteries. So adequate vitamin K2 is needed to be in your calcium magnesium supplement to assure that it's safer for you and eliminate this risk that we now are aware of when it comes to supplementing calcium. So there are other things that we looked at in developing Magnical D. The main thing is we know our diets are depleted in almost all trace minerals. Our soils are depleted. And that's how our plants get these trace minerals, by absorbing them from their soil. So we know the trace minerals are critical for all the cells in our body. However, it is especially critical for building healthy bone. Now, the absolute best inland sea trace minerals come from the Great Salt Lake in Utah. In fact, there are 72 different trace minerals. You know, RX goes all over the world to try to find the absolute best raw products for their nutritional supplements. We get zeolite from Austria. We get grapeseed extract from Indina in Italy. We go all over the world, but now we know that the best inland sea trace minerals are about 15 minutes from RX's office in Bountiful, Utah, and that is the Great Salt Lake. So this is critical to have in your calcium magnesium product. Now, another thing that we have become very aware of, especially since we have such a great presence in Asia, is the fact that mushrooms have a tremendous health benefit to just our general health. But we know that shiitake mushrooms, for example, are high in copper, which is very critical for bone growth. You want to have some additional copper. You also want to have some additional zinc, which is also, there are high concentrations in shiitake mushrooms. Now we know there are many additional general health benefits. There's decrease in inflammation, supports immune function. So for our bone health and bone growth, shiitake mushrooms are critical and has been added to Magnical D. Another important mushroom are reishi mushrooms. And the main reason is reishi mushrooms have been shown in the medical literature to help maintain bone density. So once you build this healthy bone, reishi mushrooms help maintain that bone density. We also know it improves immune function. There are a lot of decrease in risk of various problems, but it really is helping to develop healthy immune function and healthy heart function as far as that's concerned. Now, so what we have is the fact that Magnical D, I'm introducing it, and here it is key supplement. Here are the ingredients that you will find in your Magnical D. You'll see 400 milligrams of calcium citrate, calcium malate, and there is absolutely no calcium carbonate. Now, we're going to be recommending that you consume 4 capsules a day. So each capsule then would be 100 milligrams, but for the recommended dose, you'd be getting 400 milligrams of calcium. But it's in a perfect one-to-one balance because you'll also, in the recommended dose, get 400 milligrams of magnesium, which will contain amino acid chelate, glycinate, and taurate, which I have shared are the most absorbable magnesium. So you're getting this at a very good one-to-one ratio. And again, you're going to get 2,000 international units of vitamin D3, 30 micrograms of vitamin K2, and 20 milligrams of this inland sea trace minerals. Now, one thing that I have not mentioned is that vitamin C is very, very critical to bone development. So RX has added 25 milligrams of acerol cherry, which has been shown to have the most potent form of vitamin C. In fact, the antioxidant activity of this vitamin C is very, very high. So we have added the 25 milligrams of acerol cherry. We've also have 25 milligrams of both the shiitake mushrooms and reishi mushrooms. So here it is, this cutting edge calcium magnesium product that we see has the critical ingredients. Now, here are some precautions to consider. If you are presently taking a calcium magnesium supplement, take a look at the bottle. Does your calcium magnesium supplement contain calcium carbonate? We know this is the poorest absorbed calcium that we have. Does it also contain or maybe contain magnesium oxide? I shared with you how poorly this is absorbed, and this can be critical to your health. But the other thing, does it have the one-to-one ratio? Does it contain high levels of vitamin D? You know, we find that a lot of calcium magnesium supplements may contain some vitamin D, but they're woefully inadequate in the amount they give you. But also, does it contain vitamin K2? And remember that vitamin K1 does not have the same properties as vitamin K2. It does not protect you against the deposit of calcium into your arteries where vitamin K2 does. That is critical. So RX has done it again. Here we have a calcium magnesium product that is cutting edge. It is a scientifically based product. We have spent months researching the medical literature to give you this cutting edge product. So this is a calcium magnesium product that is safe and it's effective in building healthy bones. Now, I know others will copy this formulation over time. They're going to have to, because we know what the medical literature is saying. And that is why we're presenting it to you. And I'm so excited to have the opportunity to share this product with the RX family.